And welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Following the big game here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You could find Great Lakes Honda City open for you Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Find your way over to Great Lakes Honda City. I had to go there this past week for some service because of all the construction and the things that are going on in central and upstate New York. Caught a couple pieces of metal in my tire. That was fun. And was able to go into Great Lakes Honda City. They got it shore up real quick. I literally sent a message over and got in touch. They got right back to me. They said, bring your car right in. Brought the car in, got it settled, and Lily and I got home safely. So they thank you to Great Lakes Honda City and to everybody that worked on the vehicle, as well as Elijah and the whole team there. So much appreciated. Make sure you make your way over there for sales and service today. If you're looking for a car or if you need to get something fixed on your car, head over to Great Lakes Honda City. And of course, you can get more information at greatlakeshondacity.com. With that being said, we are with you up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find us on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So wherever you are, we are there with you, and we thank you for being there with us. Big game happened yesterday. Obviously, y'all know this. We can't call it that SB words together. We can't say those technically, I guess, because we are show promoting other things. You know, we have our own partners and whatnot. So there was this rule that I heard of way back when, and that's why you hear other people talk about it on TV as the big game, because if you have sponsors, I think, on your shows or something, you can't say the actual super and then that thing that you put cereal in. So we call it the big game here on the broadcast. For those of you that are listening in going, why is he calling it the NFL title game? Just call it what it is. Eagles, Chiefs, we will be discussing everything, including our prop bets, how did we do, and our predictions, which I got 2 out of 3 things correct in my prediction. So we'll get into all of that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of DT and Murphy. Brandon Murphy joining me as he does on Mondays to have a conversation about all things Chiefs and Eagles as the Eagles fly high and take home the 59th big game title for the NFL. With that being said, let's bring him in picture in picture here. Mr. Murph, how we doing this morning?
Doing good. A little tired from being up late last night, but that's the blessing and the curse of going to a little Super Bowl party. As you can see, I've got a baseball cap on to signify the start of baseball season. Football is done. It's over. Here's the real sport that matters. Let's go, Mets.
UFL in a few weeks. Football's never done. But I will say that...
Well, football definitely is never done because you got football over in Europe.
Football is never, ever, ever done. But I will say that, yes, we got baseball in full swing coming up here very, very soon. And obviously some deals and decisions need to be made as we get set for spring training for baseball, which happens here in February. And really baseball only now, with the extension of the season and the way that they do the postseason now, we don't see baseball for December and January. That's the only time we don't see baseball here in America. And I'm sure obviously overseas and other places and in warmer climates it's being played no matter what. But baseball is one of those things that really now rarely, hardly ever goes away. The only one that I think legitimately you win a championship, snap your fingers, and they're back practicing. I think the one that is probably the shortest in my mind, having seen it in 2007 when my Ducks won, is the Stanley Cup. They hoist the Stanley Cup, and within like a week or two, they're like, well, we're starting preseason again. I was like, wait a minute. Did the Cup tour? Did we get to do anything with the Cup? No, we just quick hold it up, take a picture, back to the ice again. So
isn't the NBA kind of like that too? Because those two seasons almost run pretty concurrently.
The NBA, and I've experienced this, so the NBA will finish their season in June. they'll have their finals. Then they have their draft right after that, within like a week. They'll have the NBA draft. And then after they have the NBA draft at the beginning of July, now it's a little bit later because they don't have one in Orlando, which I would love if they did. But Summer League happens in July. So you win a championship in June, you draft at the end of June. Then at the middle to end of July, you do Summer League. And then after Summer League, you flow into the season by October. So it is very quick in the sense of finals, draft, Summer League, and you're already training and kind of going through your preseason. So yeah, the NBA takes about 5 minutes off too, but the Stanley Cup was the experience to me. And now the WNBA is going to be doing 3-on-3 things and these other pieces here. So now when the WNBA is not playing the gap between the WNBA and college basketball and all this stuff, now there's this other thing that's happening with women in professional basketball where that's going to help bridge the gap. So essentially, they're trying to make these sports go year round, which I totally understand and I applaud if it's a good idea and we can get around it. I think there's a lot of good things that can be had. Nobody likes to see football go away. My college football season ended on January 21st when I woke up after the national championship in Atlanta. So to me, it's kind of cool because it's like January 21st, I end college football. March Madness is 2 months from that moment. So I kind of flowed back into college. I mean, I was doing both at the same time, but it's like, okay, you shift gears to college basketball after January 20th, and you're sitting here saying to yourself, like, wow, we're almost into March Madness. We're getting into conference tournament time. So I do love that feel of it, and we know that the draft is coming up not too far away here in a couple months. So we'll see some of those guys that we watched in the college football playoff go to the NFL draft, and then we're right back into the NFL again. And the UFL truly bridges that gap in bringing us football from the XFL and the USFL united to have games, then draft, then go back to college football. And keep in mind that because we're here in the beginning of February, we just had another signing day, and very, very soon we're going to have spring football for college football. So really none of this is stopping because college football spring practice now happens a couple, not even, yeah, like maybe a couple months after the championship game. So you have the championship game, you have the second signing day, and then you play spring ball about a month later, month and a half later, 2 months later. So yeah, because I already know that in less than, what is today? Today's the 10th. So in about 2 months from today, Syracuse will have their spring game for football. So college football really doesn't stop at all either now. And the portal's open and all that nonsense is going. I don't want to call it nonsense. It's the free agency, I should call it, is going on. So a lot of things to talk about. Basically, what I tell my father is he had a 9 to 5 job, and I have a 12 to 12 job. When I sleep, something may be happening. So with that being stated here, a lot of things happened last night. Hopefully you stayed awake for this game. A lot of people wanted to snooze in the beginning when it was 24-0. A lot of people were sitting there going, okay, well, the Chiefs always come back. And I was having this conversation. I had a party at my house last night, had wonderful people over to the house, and we had a great experience, friends and family watching the game, laughing, having a good time. Lily loved it, having everybody over to the house. She didn't sit down really the whole night, just celebrating with everybody. And we watched it going into the game. We watched the national anthem. And of course, we watched it all the way through to the commercials, the game itself, and all the way to the end. And then once we had that final score, then everybody pretty much got up and headed home for the night. Thankfully, not in a snowstorm, as we got snow the night before, and really didn't get anything yesterday. We got substantial snow, but nobody had to go home in bad weather last night, and hopefully you didn't either. So the game, I mean, obviously we'll talk about a lot of different things with the game, but there's always the notion that the Chiefs aren't out until they're out. Bills fans know that. A lot of fans know the Chiefs can be down and it doesn't matter. They were trying to put graphics up. They were trying to say, okay, 25 is the largest deficit ever, which the Washington, then Redskins, now Commanders, had over another team. So they're trying to let you know. Then when they went down by more, they're like, this is the biggest deficit that Pat Mahomes has ever had. I mean, they were trying to make a story of it, but the Chiefs were out of the game from the jump.
They were trying to make a story out of it because there was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Because the game sucked. I mean, I hate to really, I mean, I hate to say it like that, but the game was awful. Like this was roughly the same to me that the Seahawks Broncos game was. What was that? 10, 11 years ago at MetLife, where first snap miscommunication goes over Peyton Manning's head and out the back of the end zone for safety. So, like, you get to the point you're sitting there, it's 24 to nothing Eagles, and you're just like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still thinking that, like, it's Mahomes, anything could happen.
Yeah.
But then we started getting to the point where we're middle of the third quarter. Chiefs still haven't scored yet. And me and my buddy just sitting there. I'm like, man, if Mahomes gets shut out in the Super Bowl, you know, in this situation, like he can never be considered the GOAT, like under no circumstances. And to be honest with you, his two Super Bowl losses
Yeah.
were really bad. Tom Brady's three Super Bowl losses came by a combined 15 points. Patrick Mahomes has lost multiple games by better than that margin. They lost by 18 yesterday, and they lost by 22 in against the Bucks. And he lost to Brady head to head.
Yeah.
In my eyes, after that, Mahomes will never be the GOAT. I don't care. GOATs don't get blown out in that situation. They don't. So, Mahomes did not look good. His offensive line gave him no help. The Eagles did not blitz until the middle of the fourth quarter when the game was already over, and they sacked him 6 times.
Yeah.
That was an impressive job, not only by Vic Fangio and that defense and his defensive scheme, but by the players. They were rushing 4 on every play and still got to him 6 times. He was running for his freaking life out there. This was just as bad as when they played the Bucks. Because, again, Mahomes was running for his life. That's how you know you've got a really good defense, when you're making Patrick Mahomes run for his life. But overall, first of all, I don't think Jalen Hurts deserved the MVP. I think he had a great game. I think, the team played well. But that defense, that MVP belonged to that defense.
Yeah.
I voted for Josh Sweat, I don't even know how many times online. Him or the guy that forced and recovered the fumble in the fourth quarter, in the fourth quarter. Cooper DeJean, who had the pick 6.
Yeah.
Zach Bond, who had the other interception. You look at it that way, and any of those guys could have been the Super Bowl MVP. But it has to be Jalen Hurts.
Oh, because they give it to the quarterback. And Coach Stu was with me. Stuart Flaherty was at the house last night. And I want to give a shout out to Coach Stu. He's the new Bryan and Stratton men's soccer head coach for the team here in Syracuse for the Bobcats. He came over to the house for the first time I ever got to welcome him into my home and spend some time together. So he came over for the game. And he was talking about it all the way through the game. He said, no matter what happens in this game if the Eagles end up, and this was, throughout the game we were talking about it, if the Eagles end up winning, then they're going to give it to Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts' numbers weren't bad, but he said there's an obsession with the quarterback in America. And he said it right before the game started. He's like, there's an obsession with the quarterback, and it's to the point where it's like, it's a little bit creepy that, they're going to go quarterback no matter what. Obsession with the quarterback, and it's to the point where take the quarterback no matter what, to put the quarterback in that situation in this game as the MVP. Now, granted, yes, he did a good job. Yes, he did he did a lot of amazing things. He ran an awesome offense, and they scored 40 points in the game. And we know that the Chiefs only scored over 30 points one time this season, and that was in their last game against the Bills, 32-29. The Eagles have multiple times scored over 30 points this season, and we're coming off of a game where they scored 50 plus. So 55 in that game against the Commanders. So the fact that they can get up to 40 is great, and what he did offensively was great, and the fact that he could run the ball and do different things was awesome. But you have to say that the turning point in this game is turning the ball over and getting the Chiefs to turn it over. I had made this statement in the prior game that if the Bills were able to get the Chiefs to turn the ball over twice, that was my prediction that they would win the game. They got the Chiefs to turn the ball over once and they scored off of that turnover, but they did not get them to turn it over again. And in this game, it was multiple
Three or four.
turnovers that they created. So, looking
He
at
threw
that,
two picks or three?
he threw.
Thought he threw three.
No, because one got called back because there was a penalty. So,
Oh, that's right. It
so
was it was on the offsides play.
yeah. So when you look back at this game
Duh.
and you look back at what the defense did, it is easily the defense's MVP. And I had said two things during this game. I said I would either give the ball for me, give the ball, right, give the trophy to the entire defense, or you give it to Cooper DeJean, because Cooper DeJean is the one that really started this thing. He's the one that turned the tide early for this team and was able to cancel a moment by Pat Mahomes, multiple moments. And by the way, I mean, the guy doesn't only pick off Pat Mahomes, he also stops a ball on another one. And this is a great thing, is he's over by the sideline, he stops a completion by Pat Mahomes on top of already having an interception. And then what does he do? The next play, after stopping a reception from coming in, he stands back there to receive the punt. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's playing defense and special teams, and he's on defense stopping a play that forces a fourth down, and then he's the one that's returning the kick on the fourth down. So, I mean, for what he did in his punt returns, for what he did defensively, and for what he did early to really give the momentum to the Eagles, I think Cooper DeJean early on in the game was the momentum shifter that never shifted back to the Chiefs. So in my opinion, Cooper is the MVP. But I said if you don't give it to Cooper, then you can't give it to one defensive lineman. You have to give it to the entire defense. You can't give it to one linebacker, because what they did to rush the quarterback and rush the quarterback consistently, everybody talks about Chris Jones, which, by the way, has allegedly been playing injured throughout the postseason, was in and out of snaps with Houston. We saw him last night. They're pushing on his neck, and we're seeing this big guy who takes a lot of hits feeling that pain in his neck. And it takes a lot for these guys to not be on the field for every play. I mean, he's got his knee brace coming off. He's putting it back on while he's, down on the field. And people say, why? Why would Chris Jones do this? Why would he put himself through this? Why would anybody put themselves through this? And it's because they don't know if they're ever going to come back to this stage, this title game. And these guys, I mean, this is their life. You think about it. If you were a pilot, would you ever want to stop being a pilot? If you were a teacher, would you ever just want to stop teaching if it's your passion? As a broadcaster, do I want to just give it up and spend the last 10 years of my life on a beach not saying anything or doing anything? These guys live for these moments. They have trained for these moments. They have dreamed of these moments. So when you say, why would somebody put themselves physically on the line like Chris Jones did? Because Chris Jones loves this game, or he wouldn't be out there putting his body on the line all the time. So I want to give a lot of respect to the pass rush and just the defense in general this season of the Chiefs. But the Eagles were the dominant ones in this game. And to me, the MVP, to echo Stuart Flaherty, who was sitting right to my right while we watched the game last night, this is a defensive MVP for the entire defensive unit. And if it's not, then it's a Cooper DeJean MVP. It goes to Jalen Hurts because it typically goes to offense and it typically goes to the quarterback. And it's nothing to take away from Jalen Hurts. But I think if you sat down with Jalen and asked him, he would give credit to Cooper. He would give credit to his defense, because his defense allowed him to play as freely as he did and have as many opportunities as he had. And it's great to be a quarterback that has all the possessions that you have, plus all these extra ones that the defense created.
Oh, sure. I mean, he was sitting there. The Chiefs went, I think the entire first half, it was three and out, pick six, three and out, and another pick, I think. I don't think the Chiefs had a first down until, they had 14 yards at halftime.
Yeah.
14 yards.
Yeah.
This is a team led by Patrick Mahomes, the Lord and Savior, according to most NFL fans. Who, by the way, I mentioned that early in the game that, or early in the show that Brady lost his Super Bowls by a combined 15 points, and Mahomes has now been blown out by more than that twice in the big game. And I don't believe that Mahomes can ever be considered the GOAT because of that. Also, he played Tom Brady in the playoffs twice and lost twice. So I'm done with the Mahomes will be the future GOAT type thing. He won't. I don't care if he gets 8 rings. First of all, I don't think he's going to because that was hard enough for Tom Brady to do to get to 7. But Brady did things no one else ever did. Mahomes couldn't get the three-peat. Yeah, they got back there, but they got embarrassed on national television when everybody wanted to see them lose. Actually, to be quite honest, everybody wanted to see both teams lose, but that's not possible. um,
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to see both teams lose. But I will say this: I'm happy to see Saquon get a ring. There's a couple of ex-Jets on the Eagles that I was happy to see them get a ring.
Yeah.
Punter Braden Mann, Bryce Huff, who didn't really play much for them, but he gets a ring. Um, Two local guys in Saquon being a Whitehall grad and Jahan Dotson coming out of Nazareth. So funny enough, my mom actually had a 2 hour delay today. And she is pretty sure it was because of the Eagles and because of Saquon and Jahan Dotson and being locals and all that fun stuff. Um, but you look at that game and you look at what ended up happening in the end.
Yeah.
I firmly believe, as great as the rest of the defense played, I think those front four, the defensive line, is what deserved the MVP, without a doubt. You know, to the fact it's not like they were blitzing at all, right? Like I said, they did not send a blitz until the middle of the fourth quarter when the game was already over. So we're sitting there watching the game, and all of a sudden we're seeing Josh Sweat and that Williams kid, I don't remember his first name, just getting through the Chiefs' offensive line and getting to Mahomes. You don't see that. I mean, the Chiefs always had a good offensive line with Mahomes,
Yeah.
but you just don't see that, and you don't see him getting in under that sort of pressure. And honestly, it was kind of fun to watch to see him get put on the ground. Now, I don't necessarily have anything against Patrick Mahomes. I've never despised him the way I despised Tom Brady. Because, obviously being a Jets fan, he was a Patriot for 20 years, and
Yeah.
we hate the Patriots, so I hate Tom Brady. I've calmed down on that now. Obviously, that he didn't spend the end of his career. He, played the last couple years of his career with the Bucks, and kind of grew to respect him a little bit more. But Mahomes, I've always kind of had a respect for. But like I said, I mean, if you yes, he's won it 3 times, but the fact that not only has he lost twice, he's been blown out twice. Like this game was a lot more of a blowout than the score indicates. Chiefs scored 3 garbage time touchdowns.
Yeah.
The last of which actually cost me about $135 and cost my buddy Jake about $750 because his box would have hit if they don't score that touchdown. And
Yeah.
I took a parlay where I had Eagles plus 7.5, Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown, and under 59.5. And I was like, I could have cashed it out for 127, and I didn't take it.
Yeah.
I could have cashed it out in like the middle of the fourth quarter. But I was thinking to myself, like, why? But obviously after it happened, I'm like, you know what? I got greedy over $8. I should have taken the money and ran. Obviously, my friend Jake did not have that option because it needed. he needed them to finish the game like that in order to hit his box.
Yeah.
Um, but that's okay. It is what it is. We hung out, we had a good time. We were drinking these icy light. It's some beer from Pittsburgh. It's got the Pitt Panthers logo on it. It wasn't bad, but it kind of reminded me of like drinking Keystone Light in college. Um, but we had a good night. We enjoyed everybody being around. We had Wingstop, we had buffalo mac and cheese. Jake made a sausage dip, and then we had I think like cheesesteak sliders or something like that, and um, it was a fun day, and it was a terrible football game with a and I hate to say this because I think it's a beautiful song, and I can't stand the fact that I have to say it. One of the worst national anthems I've ever heard. Um, and then a terrible halftime show. That game overall was just terrible. KB and Brady kind of saved it.
Well, I will say this. And I mean, people, and the thing is, if somebody doesn't know somebody, right? If somebody does, a lot of times, if somebody doesn't know an artist, because my parents don't know Kendrick Lamar, and so you're kind of talking about it. My dad was joking about it going into it, and he was looking at my mom, and he was like, I hope he starts with "B, don't kill my vibe," and so it just hearing my dad say it was really funny. But
I
when you look at, I mean, to me, I like Kendrick Lamar, and
don't mind him either,
I
but
was playing Kendrick going into the game. I was actually playing in my car. So, and for those of you that know the Black Panther album, for the first movie with Chadwick Boseman, most of it was Kendrick Lamar. The second album, not as good. No offense to the artists on there, because there's some good songs, but it didn't have Kendrick Lamar, and I think it was missing something. And now, and the thing with Kendrick is he is somebody who doesn't just rap; he raps with a story, and not everybody likes the story. And the
hmm
story that he has is a story of certain things that maybe you agree with, maybe you don't. There's some things that he says I agree with. There's some things he says that I don't agree with. But knowing that, first and foremost, he had Samuel L. Jackson out there. And for people that didn't catch this, I mean,
that was actually kind of
Samuel
funny.
L. Jackson being there as Uncle Sam U.L. Jackson when he was out there for that and wearing the Uncle Sam costume and all of that, it was obviously satirical and it was causing you to think because he was out there saying to Kendrick, "Hey, you can't do this. You got to play something nice and easy. You can't really get into this thing. You can't get into your culture like this." And it was a way to kind of talk. It was a way to jokingly and kind of ringleader in a circus way say we're not circus animals, and stating the fact of different things about racism, different things about entertainment, different things about just be entertainment for us and then get off the stage. There was a message that was sent there last night by Samuel L. Jackson and Kendrick Lamar, which I don't disagree with, about the fact that I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it. I'm not here just to please you. And
hmm
then and the deeper meaning of the entertainment that some culture, it's like, yeah, give us entertainment, but you're not equal to us. There was some underlying messages there. Kendrick is a
Well, they fed into the beef
yeah,
with Drake,
well, a
a
little
hundred
bit,
percent.
and I mean, but the thing about Kendrick is, and again, I don't agree with everything he did because he just did something recently that kind of made me go, okay, but he if you listen to his music, if you listen to the song like Mona Lisa, for example, it is a very scary, suspenseful. It's a song, it's like probably, I want to say it's probably like a 3-4 minute song, but it plays out like a movie. And the description of it, and he did it with Lil Wayne, that song itself, it's a disturbing song about stuff where you kind of sit back and go, is this really happening in American society or in society in general? But he tells it so well, and that's the thing about Kendrick is he's a storyteller. So I applaud Kendrick Lamar for some of the I mean, you have people dancing in red, white, and blue. You have the flag set up. You have the subliminal message of Samuel L. Jackson talking about different things about how you're supposed to do it and what you're supposed to do. And you got to be light and easy and you got to play nice for everybody. And then Kendrick's going against it. And Samuel L. Jackson, no, 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 that's not what they want. So the message there, which people may have missed, I can understand it. And Samuel L. Jackson is somebody who, to me, is someone that you pay attention to in culture, regardless of color. And I watched an interview last night with Morgan Freeman, where it was from a long time ago, where they talked to Morgan Freeman and they were talking to him about Black History Month, and he says, "I don't want a Black History Month."
Oh, that is,
And
I
and
love that interview.
and he looked at the guy that was interviewing him, who's white, and he said, "Well, what month is White History Month?" And the guy says, he just sits there and he says, "Come on." He goes, "No, what month is it?" He said, "Well, I'm Jewish." He said, "Okay, do you want a Jewish History Month?" And the guy said, "No, not really." And he said, "Okay, I don't want a Black History Month either." He said, "I would like to sit here and you not see me. I'm not going to call you a white man and you're not going to call me a black man, and we're just going to talk. You know me as Morgan Freeman. I know you as who you are." So there's people in culture that are trying to, people that are smart realize that there are powers that be in America that seek to divide us on everything that they could possibly use, and color being one of the easiest things. And
You mean our
so
former president?
saying you look different than the rest, if you look different than that person, then don't sit with them. And I went through that as a kid. I went through that playing basketball with an African American family down the road from my grandmother, and a car stopping and looking at us, and that feeling. I still remember the car. I remember the color of the car. And it was just one of those things like, why are you all playing, like it was a look as if the fact that we were playing basketball together and doing something in unison, but we didn't look like each other, was not right. And I went to a high school where there was two African American kids. I think it's 700 students, and not until I left did it start to integrate more. So we're talking about, I'm in school up until 2003. We're not talking about the 40s. And so to me, I've witnessed certain things, I've heard certain things, I've been around people that say certain things that I'm no longer friends with because I don't accept behavior like that. So when there are people that are trying to send a message and they're sending it peacefully and they're trying to say, like, hey, this is where we're at, but we don't have to stay here. Kendrick Lamar is not somebody that I've ever heard gone with the system. And, going against the system is what we have to do in America. You have to go against the seeking to divide. And for those that do that, I applaud them, because those that are intelligent enough to read the tea leaves understand that there are powers that be in America that seek to keep us separate. And the easiest way to keep us separate is by gender, religion, and race. And so those that break those barriers and say, nah, we can all listen to music together, we can all play together, we can all learn together, we can all eat together. If you're willing to sit at my table, then let's make a change. And those are the things that I can appreciate, respect, and applaud. And I think Kendrick Lamar, like I said, albeit, and what person agrees with another person about literally everything, uh, Kendrick Lamar to me has been, first and foremost, he has been somebody who has been lyrically in his own league in a lot of ways, and he tells stories. And you might not want to hear them, but he tells them. And I applaud him for that, and not just talking about killing people and about, disrespecting women, which we see in other music, which I feel like everyone gets grouped into that, and not every lyricist. I shouldn't even call it a lyricist. Some people are lyricists, and some people are just spreading hate and negativity. And Kendrick Lamar, to me, is a lyricist who tells a story, so I'm going to give him credit for that. The national anthem, to me, listen, there was a different rendition of the national anthem that was here in this big game. There was a different rendition of the national anthem that Isaac Elford, who does Tortora and Elford with me, he's a brother to me. He was at my house yesterday. Him and I watched a national anthem for the Syracuse BC game on Saturday. So on Saturday, we saw a national anthem and heard a national anthem that was different. And in the title game, we heard a national anthem that was different. I don't knock the difference. I think people want you to stay traditional. They want you to stay on cue. Just there's the school of thought of do the national anthem with the same notes in the same timing, show us the power of your voice, but keep it all simple and kiss, keep it simple, stupid, just do it that way. And then there's the people that want to go a little bit off the beaten path and they want to make it a little bit different. Whitney Houston, hers was over 4 minutes, and so she did it the way she wanted to do it. Last night we heard a different one, and at the Syracuse BC game, I had never heard somebody do it the way that this woman did it. Young girl came on to this. She probably maybe in her 20s, 30s. She was at the Dome, and she has a beautiful voice, but she changed parts of it and she elongated things and almost made it not sound like the national anthem. And so coming off of that, I could feel that people were like, that's, don't do that. But then at the same time, I just respect talent. So last night at the NFL title game, not everybody can sing the national anthem and play an instrument. And here's this gentleman playing the piano. So I had no problem with it because dude is doing it the way he wants to do it and he's celebrating his life. And then the woman that I heard on Saturday, she did it differently, but the notes that she did differently showed that she had a little place that she could carry her voice, and it might be the only time she ever gets to do it. So I think when people like the national anthem, they don't like the national anthem. I think it's playing with the traditionalist versus the person that's okay with you venturing out into the field. And on Saturday, I saw a woman venture out into the field. And on Sunday, I saw a man venture out into the field. And some people like it and some people don't. I don't really care because if you have a beautiful voice and you have the opportunity to sing the national anthem to 5 people or 5 billion people, to me, it's an honor. It's a privilege. The national anthem means something to me. If people watch me during the national anthem, I have, little things that I do. I really do feel the moment. I'm thinking of a lot of things that people may not know I'm thinking about when it comes to the national anthem. So I have no issue with it. And I was exposed to 2 people this weekend singing it differently. And I mean, honestly, I don't care because if it's the way they want to do it and it's the life they want to live and they want to share that in that moment, I don't knock it by any stretch of the imagination. I've heard beautiful traditional voices, and I have heard people that are like, I'm going to change up the arrangement a little bit, and I can feel in the room. I felt it in the Dome. I felt that like, I don't know if people, this kind of doesn't sound like the national anthem, but at the same time, if I had the opportunity, I've sang since I was 3 years old. If somebody let me sing the national anthem at the Puppy Bowl anywhere, then, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'd probably have a moment or 2 or 3 where I had a little play with my voice and let it do what it does. But, I mean, I have no issue with it. I have no issue with the halftime show because, people are trying to put their stamp on something and they're trying to make it unique. It's a hard thing to do in a world where a lot of people copy each other. So, to Kendrick, it felt different than other shows. I applaud that. Samuel L. Jackson and the messaging of how you're supposed to act and what you're supposed to do. I picked up a little bit of what he was putting down there. And, as far as the national anthem, do what you want to do, how you want to do it. Just respect the country and respect God. I mean, those are the only things I care about. And I didn't see the person on Saturday or Sunday disrespect God or country. So, to me, I don't look a lot into any of that. I liked the game. I know to fans that are Chiefs fans are frustrated, and rightly so. I know that people that got money on the games want to see some score. I know that, different things going on with a board. If you didn't have 0, you're freaking out because you wanted to make money in each quarter and in the half and in the game. But to me, this was not a boring game. It wasn't a boring outcome for anybody. This was a football game where a team dominated another team. We saw it happen with Washington over Detroit. We saw it happen with Philly over Washington. And Philadelphia came in with a higher-powered offense than the Chiefs did as far as scoring goes this season. And as many people want to talk about the Chiefs, I said it right before the game, they act like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts aren't on the same team. And they are. So I liked the game. I liked the camaraderie. I liked the connection of people that I had. And really, I think it's just about enjoying the moment. And, I didn't feel any pressure because I didn't have any skin in the game. I'm a Jaguars fan, so I'm watching this game, Jaguars first, Cowboys second. And so, I mean, I watched this game being happy for whoever won. And one of the biggest things that meant something to me that people may not know, and you're going to hear about it this week in my one-on-one conversation with Coach Munkin, Jeff Munkin, the head coach of the Army West Point football program, the Black Knights. When he rejoins me for a special that will be airing this week, we celebrate the fact that no matter who won this championship game in the NFL, the United States Army won. As people talk about, well, the military academies can't send anybody to the NFL. Really? Well, Army had a player on the Eagles and a player on the Chiefs. So on the Eagles, they had Brett Toth, and on the Chiefs, they had Cole Christensen. So Brett Toth was able to get himself a ring here. He graduated from the United States Military Academy in 2018. Cole Christensen graduated in 2020. So whoever won in this game, the United States Military Academy, the Army Black Knights, were going to have a championship ring, and they were going to celebrate both of these gentlemen no matter what. So there was a lot of storylines going on within this game, like the United States Army having representation here. And ultimately, for me, Rob Drummond, one of my closest friends, another brother to me, I have now gotten to witness him see his Eagles, which he played for multiple years, win 2 championships when some people said they would never win 1. And we've seen 2 in such a short period of time. And after the Eagles hadn't made it to the championship game in forever and a day, they've now made it to 4 in the 21st century. So kudos to the Eagles. Shout out to Rob. You know I love you, brother. And to me, I had no problem with this game. Yes, it was out of hand. Yes, the Eagles were commanding from the beginning. They were up 34 to nothing at one point. But I was just happy to see 2 teams facing off against each other in a title game. And I was happy to see that the Eagles, who were David in this David and Goliath story, win it. Just like they were David when they went up against the Patriots. So I enjoyed the night. I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed the food. And yeah, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about this game. I mean, people want to knock Pat Mahomes this morning. They want to knock the Chiefs this morning. They forget the fact that this man has made it to 5 Super Bowls and won 3 of them before the age of 30. I'm 39 years old, and I'm thinking about what he's done is absolutely remarkable. Now, to your point, Murph, did he lose big in the ones that he lost? Yes. But when we look back on the history of the Chiefs, they made it to the championship game in 1967, and they lost that game to Green Bay. They made it to the championship in 1970, and they won against Minnesota, so that 2 NFC North teams there. And then with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, they made it in 2020. They won that one over San Francisco 31-20. Then when they went to their second one with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, it was against Tampa Bay. They lost 31-9. And then they won back-to-back in 2023 and 2024. They faced off against the Eagles 38-35, faced off against San Fran again 25-22, and then just lost to the Eagles 40-22. So for the man to have 3 rings, make it 5 times in such a short amount of time that he's been in the NFL, I think that he's made 5 title games in 7 seasons, and he's won 3 of those 5. So I think Pat Mahomes definitely still has daylight in front of him. I'm not here to put a nail in his coffin because they lost this game. And I give a ton of credit to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are just the better team.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have lost by 3, I hold nothing against them. But they got their butts kicked. Like, this was about as big a beatdown as we've seen in this game in a long time. Literally since the that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl. Sorry, I'm going to do it. I know you've done it.
What?
It's not intentional.
What?
But yeah, like ever since that game 11 years ago, we hadn't really seen a huge blowout in this game, and we just did last night. So, and kind of going back because obviously there's a lot to digest from what you said there, and it was led me a lot of really great points. To kind of go back to the music aspect of the game. My biggest issue with the national anthem was one, he tried to be like Chris Stapleton. In the very beginning, it sounded exactly the way Chris Stapleton was doing did the national anthem. So I didn't like that he was trying to copy Chris Stapleton. And then he repeats the second to last line in the song three times. Don't do that. You want to change like the notes or hold notes longer or whatever? Okay, make it your own in a way like that. That's fine. But don't add lines to the song. He sang that line I think four times. He did three repeats of it. I was very much against that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, this has to be one of the worst national anthems I've ever heard. And it's sad because he's got a decent voice. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who he was, but I was giving him a chance. But started out like Chris Stapleton, ended by repeating the second to last line of the song three times. That should never be done. So I'll kind of put that to bed. Never need to hear him sing the national anthem again. But we are also only 2 years removed from what I would consider to be the greatest rendition of the national anthem I have ever heard, and but most everybody has ever heard, in Chris Stapleton. And as great as Whitney Houston's was, obviously I didn't witness Whitney Houston's national anthem. I've heard it, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't get to witness it in real time. So being able to witness Chris Stapleton's national anthem in real time, seeing how emotional it made people, and that powerful moment when this camera pans over to Nick Sirianni and he's literally bawling his eyes out. He didn't do it this time, and I was a little disappointed. But it was also, I think, a testament to how good that national anthem was from Chris Stapleton 2 years ago. But the thing I wasn't really a fan of with Kendrick was just like for one, I'm not a big fan of his music. I think his music's like just okay. Um, but it just seemed boring, to be honest with you. And they really fed into the beef with Drake, especially him playing the song that just won him a Grammy as his diss track of Drake. Um, but I just couldn't really get behind I couldn't really get into it. Like, it just seemed like he was marching around like a guy that knew nothing, and I'm just getting a little tired of seeing rappers at the Super Bowl. Like, I would much prefer us to see someone, I guess less controversial would be the right word, to perform at the big game.
Well, the question is, though, do you like rap music?
Sometimes,
Sometimes, yeah.
depending on who it is.
I think it comes. I think with a lot of people,
Like I said, like I don't mind Kendrick,
right.
I don't mind Drake, I don't mind Eminem. Well, I do kind of like Eminem.
But I think it
Um,
comes down to people's preference, right?
but it is also getting old.
You see country come
Like
on.
we've had rap music way too up there. I don't think there's ever been a country artist to do the halftime show.
I think so the ones that I remember,
At least not
arguably
in my lifetime.
arguably my favorite, Aerosmith, Britney Spears, and NSYNC.
Britney Spears did the halftime show.
That was an awesome mashup. They had them all
Oh, that
together.
was all together. Okay.
So they did them all together. That one was a good one. But it really does. It comes down to, and also, and I know that, I was dating a girl at the time, and so people get, if a man says this, and this is something that's ridiculous, and I want to call out a few things in this respect, because to those women that support women, there are men that support women, and not just to look at them. J-Lo and Shakira's show is also one of my favorite halftime shows. And more so, and this is no disrespect to J Lo. This is no disrespect to J Lo. Shakira played multiple instruments, sang and danced. So
Shakira carried that show.
I mean, to me,
I'm sorry, J Lo,
but
but Shakira carried that show.
that show to me personally, like that had meaning to me. Having Spanish background, having
I thought
having
that
that
one was great.
that culture was awesome. So, to me that holds meaning, and yeah. So I mean, those are probably the ones that stand out to me the most. But it
Were
depends on the
you?
music that you like.
What about Princess? Like you're old enough to remember that one.
So Prince, I don't think I watched it live, but
Oh, that's unfortunate.
yeah. But I mean,
I mean,
obviously,
because that one's arguably the greatest
yeah.
halftime show performance
And Prince warned
out
us
of,
about a
out
lot of
of
things
ever.
back in the day, mind you, folks. Prince talked about a lot of things. You go back and watch Prince videos now, and you're just like, did Prince know something? But like, I mean, Prince, one of the greatest performers of all time. Prince and Michael Jackson to me are still
They're one
whoever
and two
whoever
in
wants to
in
be up
either
there.
either order.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at if you look at some dancers and say, well, I think these guys are close. It still goes back to it's almost like an ode to them. Chris Brown, Usher, but Prince and Michael Jackson I got to watch, and watching Michael Jackson growing up as a kid, I feel very spoiled. I did see some Prince, but both of them, and it's funny how a lot of people know Prince for certain music, but Most Beautiful Girl in the World is my favorite Prince song. And so if you haven't heard it, I suggest you listen to it. It's incredible what he can do with his voice, and you really hear it in that song because it sounds like two different people. But yeah, I mean, I'll just call people up and make Prince noises sometimes and leave a message. But you never know what's going to happen when it comes to Prince. But to get back to your point, a lot of people check out when they know about the performer ahead of time. I almost wish we didn't know. Because if we didn't know, then I feel like people would hang around for the halftime show to see who it was and give them a chance. But when people know ahead of time, if they're a country fan and they don't like rap, they're not going to listen to it. If they're a rap fan and they don't want alternative, they're not going to listen to it. If they don't like the performer, right? Like Maroon 5, some people like to see women out there dancing, looking sexy. Maroon 5, Adam Levine, he takes his shirt off. You're in a bar, a bunch of guys are like, come on. So I feel like
I
it
think
really.
people made fun of him because of the checkerboard shirt.
But the thing is, it comes
Now,
down.
I'm biased because I grew up a fan of Maroon 5, so I knew every word to every single song they played. But I also can understand why people didn't like that one
But it comes.
because it was weird.
I think a lot of times it comes down to do you listen to that artist? Do you know that artist? Are you a fan of that genre of music? And so in that respect, I wish they kept it a question mark, almost like the Masked Singer, right? So which we saw previews to during it. So literally at halftime, you just see a giant question mark on the field, like a black question mark dome or a square, and then all of a sudden it disappears and then we see the performer. Because if we didn't know, I think more people would at least be there to hear them and give them a chance. But when people do know and they go, oh, I don't listen to that person, or they look that person up and they have different views than you have, or you just don't like that genre of music, some people check out. Because I have been around that. People are like, I don't listen to this type of music. I hate this, I hate that, I don't like this, I don't like that. Oh, they said something about this last week and I don't agree with it. I feel like if we didn't know the performer of the halftime show, more people would give it a chance. I really do.
Yeah, probably. But I also think knowing who it is kind of nice because it builds anticipation for like the fans of him or her. Um, you know, I'm still waiting for a country mashup halftime show.
Yeah.
If you give me a Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs halftime show, I think that'd be amazing. I mean, obviously I'm a country fan, so I'm a little biased, but like you've kind of exhausted a lot of the like truly great performers that would do the Super Bowl. We know Taylor Swift's never doing the Super Bowl. We know that. We know Drake's never going to do the Super Bowl. We already had Snoop and Dre and Eminem and all those guys. Bruno Mars has been there twice, who I also thought his halftime show was phenomenal.
He's a
He's
good performer.
also an incredible performer.
Yeah.
Um, Lady Gaga's already done it. Rihanna's already done it. Beyonce, I don't think would do it, nor would I. Actually, has she done it?
Yes.
Yes, she has.
She did it the year
Good,
that
good,
the
because I don't want to
yeah.
see her do it again.
Beyonce did it
Because
the year that Colin Kaepernick and the Niners were up at
oh
halftime,
yeah, you're
and then
right.
the
You're
Ravens
right.
figured them out after there were multiple blackouts during
Yep,
Beyonce's show. Yeah.
yep. Um, but I, please God, do not let her ever do that again because I can't stand her now. And also, can I also just say, how in bloody hell did she win 2 Grammys for that god awful country album of hers that you can't even call a country album?
People
It
like
was,
people like
if you
Beyonce.
listen to country music at all, that album was awful. And Beyonce as an artist, we all know she was great in her heyday. Yes, I am saying she's out of her heyday. Because if she's putting out an album like that, that was awful. And nobody in country music accepted it because it was terrible.
Yeah.
She was just trying to, make a country album, which, that's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously Post Malone did it and had a lot of success, but Post Malone did it by bringing on so many, like he had so many collaborations with country singers. We've all known that Post Malone has the voice to do a country album. We've all known Post Malone loves country music, right?
It
So
also
Post
fits
Malone
when
having Chris Stapleton,
yeah.
Luke Combs on 2
Fits
songs.
when you're welcome.
He has not George Strait. He has Hank Williams Jr. on a song. He has Kenny Chesney, not Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw on a song. He has Morgan Wallen, Blake Shelton, like Lainey Wilson, Dolly Parton. Like he embraced what it meant to cross over to that and have all of those collaborations. Beyonce was just a show, and she bought 2 Grammys apparently. So I just had to get that off my chest. I am livid at the fact that she won 2 Grammys for that god awful album. Um, but I'm waiting for like I'm trying to think of who else you could really reasonably put in the Super Bowl that hasn't already done it. Sorry. Um,
No, I mean they can put. I mean, to me, listen.
that would actually do it.
There's if this would be great. This I would see, and they've done multiple songs together. Florida Georgia Line, obviously parted.
Yeah.
But think about it like this: Florida Georgia Line gets back together for one night, or maybe they start a tour after, whatever. But the return of Florida Georgia Line comes to you at the NFL title game next season.
Oh, I think I know who you're going to say.
Featuring Nelly and the St. Lunatics. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
That's not who I thought you were going to say.
Nelly and Florida Georgia Line. I would watch.
Now, I haven't heard
Florida
a
Georgia
Nelly
Line,
song in years.
but them together have done multiple recent songs. And they're really, really good songs. So I think Nelly and Florida Georgia Line would be fun. Might bring somebody else in. But Florida Georgia Line, Dan and Shay. There's
I'm not.
or you can take
like Dan and Shay.
They've see, but again, it's preference.
I
there's
I know it's, but the thing is, if they're gonna do a
different ones that
country,
work
if they're
with
gonna do a
mashups.
country one,
I'll tell you who's really
it's
good
gotta be
together.
Combs or Wallen.
I'll tell you who's really good together, and I think that they would definitely have people, and this would educate some young people that maybe don't know this music and need to get to know it. I was blessed to see 2 Journey concerts that blew out of the water with the other acts that they had too.
Who's gonna sing for Steve Perry though?
I saw Journey. Arnel Pineda, the guy who's been singing for years for Journey, and if you listen, it's like he sounds almost exactly like
See
him.
now,
But he's got
and
his little.
I love Journey. I think Journey
Arnel
has
Pineda's
made some amazing
insanely
songs, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
But Journey, and I don't want to discredit. I haven't heard him sing. I take your word for it that he sounds just like Steve Perry.
Yeah,
but
he's got his own way to it too.
I think Journey doing the halftime show without Steve Perry, I don't think people would like it.
To me, I think
Especially like I don't think Journey fans would like it.
if you
It would be
hear,
like Queen doing the halftime show right now with Adam Lambert as their lead guy and not Freddie Mercury.
but if you hear, you have to hear it. If you hear Journey, so I have
I still
seen,
like the janitor that was on America's Got Talent that sounded just like him.
but if you
That
look,
did Don't Stop Believing in his audition.
if you watch, so if they had, so I've had the opportunity to see Journey a couple times, and one of the times I saw Journey,
I wish.
Cheap Trick opened for Heart, who opened for Journey. And arguably, they were all great. But arguably, Heart, it could have been their show because the way that people reacted to them was insane. The second time I saw Journey, it was it Journey with them or was it Maroon 5 with them? Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Maroon 5 with the group I'm about to mention. So Maroon 5 was the main act. I have seen Journey more than once. But it was Maroon 5 and when Maroon 5 came out at the end after they had done all the people before, Maroon 5 was good. And I wanted to see Maroon 5. But the one that was even better, that eventually did a mashup with them. See, what I'm trying to get to is I'd like to see Journey and Train together because that would blow the doors off the place with the voices. But
I haven't heard Train's songs recently, but Train does
good.
have a lot of great
Yeah,
songs.
so if you have Journey, you have Train, and you pick one strong female vocalist, I think if you put Journey and Train as the wings and you put this angelic voice, pick whoever you want to pick to put in the middle of that. I think Journey, Train plus one female solo artist would be a great show. And Train in that concert, I kid you not, Train was opening for Maroon 5 in this concert that I saw. Train took the stage. They took the cake. And they did a little mashup together. So their two lead singers came out, did a little thing. But if you have Journey and educate yourself today with some Arnel Pineda, just listen to Journey within the last
I'll
10
have
years.
to I'll have to listen to it a little
Because
bit.
you're not, I mean, listen, when he turns around and you see his hair and you hear him sing, he's got Arnel Pineda.
Well, real fans, you'll probably be able to tell the difference.
No.
But
He
like
can't- he doesn't-
if it's close enough, it's probably
Yeah.
fine.
I will say this: he doesn't take a traditional Journey fan and pull you off of Journey, but he also is Arnel Pineda. But he has this way of like it's there. Now Steve Perry I love, and Steve Perry's incredible, and Steve Perry's alive, and Steve Perry can hang.
He just can't sing anymore, right? Doesn't he? He had like a issue with his vocal cords or something.
He's done some. You know, he'll like hit that little thing. I think on YouTube, but
I mean, if Steve Perry was there, well, let's just say you have Arnel Pineda, is that his name?
Arnel Pineda, yeah.
Let's just say you have him with Journey. You bring if he still can, you bring Steve Perry out for one or two songs. The crowd would lose it. That would be amazing to bring him back to do a song or two. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, honestly, he probably would. If he physically can, I'm sure he probably would.
I will say this, and I want to make sure. And Jerry just asked a question here of how they found him and how they found Arnel Pineda. And Jerry, I'm writing this back to you right now, but I'm also going to tell everybody while I'm writing it to you is that, and for some reason I'm struggling to spell this correctly, but but there we go. So it was not two L's, one L. But I heard that they found Arnel Pineda, who was singing Journey cover songs in a dive bar in the Philippines. So the band found him, which is incredible. By the way, my cousin, who is a drummer for the Blue Man Group, shout out to Jeff Tortora. Jeff allegedly, before signing on with the Blue Man Group, did audition to be or was connected to being the lead drummer for Journey. So my cousin Jeff almost became a band member of Journey, ended up becoming a band member of the Blue Man Group, based in Vegas and travels all over the country.
Imagine if he was a band member for Journey.
So the thing is,
my goodness.
my dad's, when Blue Man Group came here, my dad got to go backstage. I could have. That's
cool.
I was not in town, but yeah, Jeff has his own band, and he's got his own band. He's been on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So shout out to Jeff. Much love to having the talent that he has for sure. But yeah, if I saw Journey and Train, and then like I said, pick a female artist. And when I say pick a female artist, Dan, are you just saying throw anybody in there? You mentioned Journey specifically, Train specifically. Do you not have a female artist? I do, but I have so many. See, I grew up on really, really good. See, okay. If I
You
wanted to,
grew up in a good era for music.
if I
I mean,
wanted to go back, if I wanted to bring the men,
would you? So, what would you consider to be like your decade of music? Would it be the '90s or the 2000s?
no. So my music growing up as a kid, I listened to 60s, 70s, and 80s. I was born in 85, but I
Hmm.
listened to. That's the thing. When people like talk to me about my music and what do you listen to, there's people that have not like they're totally floored. I'm like I grew up on LL Cool J, LL Cool J, Mary J. Blige, New Edition, Boys to Men, Nat King Cole, Natalie Cole, Tony Braxton. So a lot of like Motown stuff. I grew up on Phil Collins. I grew up on Journey, and so my world was such an eclectic group of different people. And so I didn't grow up like, oh, I like this color person. Oh, I like this style of music. I literally grew up like I just like music. And and being a singer, my mom singing, my grandfather singing, me singing since I was 3. I mean, I knew Brian McKnight before the world knew Brian McKnight. My mom and I were listening to Brian McKnight when Brian McKnight had his original cassette tape out. So like, there's songs by Brian McKnight that are way there before Back at One and all the stuff that people know. Like, there's Brian McKnight. Arguably, his best music came from his first album. Like songs that I love the most that people didn't know who he was. And Peebo Bryson, Luther Vandross, like I grew up on people that were lyrically the better you like the more things you could do with your voice, the more apt I was to listen to you. Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. So, but Tony Braxton to me, I had a massive crush on Tony Braxton growing up. And Unbreak My Heart, if Tony Braxton sang with Journey and Train and you had that eclectic voice of all three of them. Now the Braxtons, you know, like some people know them from reality TV or whatever. If you had Tony Braxton with Train and their lead singer's voice, and you got Journey and Pineda's voice, that's 3 different voices. And if you're gonna do a mashup in the championship, you got to have 3 different voices. And I think people forget about the Tony Braxtons of the world. I think people forget about. I mean, yeah, if people go toward Mariah Carey, and if Whitney Houston was alive, you know, bless her heart in heaven. So there's a lot of places that people may want to go, but I would say to you, Tony Braxton, I would say to you, Ella May, because she has such a unique voice and she kind of lullabies you and just makes you feel good even when she's talking about tough things. So I think Ella May is a great singer. I think Tony Braxton's a great singer. I know a lot of people want to go with Beyonce, but I wouldn't go there. Like I would go to other places. And so like Beyonce's talented. I love Destiny's Child. Kelly Rowland's a good singer too, but who is also from Destiny's Child, and not to discredit anybody else that was in the group, but if it was me and I had Journey and Train, I would have Journey, Train, Tony Braxton, Journey, Train, Ella May. Uh, so probably those are the ones that come to mind right now. There's some other
So, is
ones.
that like your dream halftime show?
I think. I mean, I'm kind of like living it right now. Like when I said Ella May with them, I kind of like felt it. So maybe that's the one that I'm thinking about. But I mean, I just I like entertainment. I like dance. I mean, the thing is, you got to give me a little bit of everything, and that's why I liked Britney Spears with NSYNC and Aerosmith because it was so different. It was like, yeah, it was pop, like they're all pop kind of, but it's like Britney was out there doing her thing, dancing. She's a solo artist, and then you see NSYNC, and you know you got the 5 of them out there, and they dance and they sing, and then you got Aerosmith just walking up and down, just doing what they do, and Steven Tyler being who he is, and just hearing them all and hearing his like, wow, you know, just hearing all of that at once. She's got her little like she lives in this universe, and then you got NSYNC that's living in different universes, and you got JC Chasez, you got Justin Timberlake, and then you got Steven Tyler just, you know, blowing your eardrums up. So to me, that was a cool show, and I think if you If you gave me an R&B soul singer, female, beautiful specimen of a voice, and you coupled her with Journey and Train, I'm gonna pass out. So I mean, I guess that to me that would be it, because you're talking about like classic rock and a little bit alternative inside, and then you got R&B. And I grew up an R&B kid. I live and breathe R&B. I absolutely love R&B music. It's how I trained my voice as a child. So I mean, I think R&B should be involved in some way, shape, or form. It couples well with hip hop, and it can couple well with country, and it can couple well with classic rock. So I think if we could
Well,
bring
because
some,
R&B is a little got some
it's got
soulfulness
a
to it.
lot in it.
So
R&B's
like
got a lot in it.
that would probably couple well with like a Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if we saw country within the next 3 years, I think if we see R&B, classic rock
Please.
within the next 3 years, we'd be in a good place. And I do want to let people know that one of the best mashups that I've ever seen, because back in the day they didn't wait until concerts to do mashups. They did them, and we see some of them. I mean, obviously Ed Sheeran had his album where he did a lot of different things, and you talk about Post Malone's country album where he involved a lot of people, but Hey Lover back in the day when LL Cool J was on a mountain and Boys to Men's on a mountain. You go back and you listen to Hey Lover and you're like, damn, how'd they get these two guys together? But back then, money wasn't like how money is now. It didn't
Hmm.
cost like what it costs now to do something like that. But I think to me, if I got some R&B, you gave me some soul, you gave me some jazz, like there's a lot of things you could do, and there's ways that you can mix songs together. And honestly, we just need people that are intelligent enough to just smooth, just like bring them through. And really, I'm not against them having mashups of different styles of music and different individuals and or groups, and then having a really good DJ who knows how to bring us in and out of it, because people forget the art of the DJ and how a DJ can take a song and another song, and you're like, I would have never put those two songs together, but he somehow
Yep.
found this unity, she somehow found this unity where they link in this certain like rhythm right in the middle of the song, and boom, it just, and you can never hear it the same again. So I mean, I think there's a lot of things they can do, but to me personally, just in this moment, literally having nothing written down or thought about it, Journey, Train, Tony Braxton, Journey, Train, LMA, I can live in that world.
So yeah, I think that'd be pretty fun. So I kind of brought this up because I wanted to see like what because you were kind of getting into what your essentially your dream halftime show would be. I want to go over mine and then I want to get your thoughts on what you think realistically who we'll see next year. Not that that really matters, but I'm just kind of curious to see what you think about it.
Yeah.
So for me, obviously, it would be a country one, um, but like because my dream one back in the day was Maroon 5 when
Yeah.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I got that. I got that when I was in college. I kind of had to play it cool because like everybody in my friend group was kind of like, they're like they're old, they're not really all that cool, but I'm sitting there listening to it and enjoying it because like obviously I love Maroon 5 when I was a kid and I still listen to Maroon 5 from time to time. I'm not a huge fan of like their newer stuff, but like their older stuff from Songs About Jane, that album and Won't Be Soon Before Long, like that those two albums were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um so like I enjoyed that one. I also liked the Bruno Mars halftime show, but for me personally, the dream one is Wallen, Combs, and Laney.
Okay.
I think that's because it kind of puts together. Obviously, Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen are the faces of country music right now.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can dispute that. Do I think Morgan Wallen? I don't think will ever do the halftime show for two reasons. Number one, he's a controversial figure because of things that he's said and done. I don't think the NFL likes that. And number two, he doesn't need it. He's got no reason to do the halftime show.
Yeah.
Um, Luke Combs, I think, would be more likely. I think he would if he was asked. Um, But again, he's a guy that doesn't need it. Like a lot of people that do the halftime show are kind of performers that could use the stage, which is why originally who I was thinking could be realistic for next year might not be realistic. But I think the ideal one for me would be Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, and Lainey Wilson, and maybe bring Posty in there to duet his songs with Luke and Morgan.
Yeah.
Um, that'd be pretty cool because I think they'd play off each other really well. They're friends. I think they both are great performers. Obviously, I haven't seen Wallen in concert, but I've seen Luke Combs in concert.
Yeah.
And Luke Combs was amazing. But I think that'd be fun. And then Lainey Wilson's she's like the prince. I mean, between her, Kelsey Ballerini, and Megan Maroney, like one of those three is like the queen of country music at the moment. We all know the true queen is Dolly, and it always will be. God love her. She's still around and kicking, and she's still, doing her thing. I thought she absolutely slayed on that song that she did with Post Malone.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, it is a phenomenal song. Um, at close to 80 years old, I'm pretty sure she is. Stand by on that. I just want to double check on that one. I think she's almost 80. 79. In her late 70s, she's still slaying, so good for her. But that would be my ideal one. But I'm curious to see who you think would is realistic. Like if you were to say this person could probably do it tomorrow,
Yeah.
like I'm curious to know who you would say, and then I'll say mine. I'm just curious to see if there's because some of it is realistic. Because like we know Taylor Swift's never going to do it. We know Beyonce's not going to do it again. There's plenty of people that could do it that would probably not because they don't need the platform.
Yeah, honestly, I think because next year it's going to be in California. So I think Bad Bunny might happen because
That would be
you
interesting.
got English and
I
Spanish
could see
there.
it.
So I would say feet to the fire right now. My thoughts. It's in California.
I thought
Spain.
that would have been
S-
the best place to
Yeah,
do Dre and
yeah,
Snoop and Eminem and those
yeah,
guys,
yeah. I mean,
but they already did it.
Spanish, English music, pop, Bad Bunny, maybe Sabrina Carpenter with other people. I
So,
think
so
I think
that
we're
was the name I was going to bring
I
up
think
was, was
we're
Sabrina,
gonna
but I
see
don't
some
think she's
pop.
going to need it.
We're gonna see some pop. It's in California. We're gonna see some pop. Top 40, in my opinion. So
I would,
I would say
yeah,
Bad Bunny, but Sabrina Carpenter's on my list. I just don't think they'll have Sabrina by herself.
I don't disagree with you. I think she's too new to do it by herself. But at the same time, the more I think about it, and like she was opening for Taylor Swift on the Eras tour, and now she just headlined her own stadium tour,
Right.
and everybody was just obsessed with
And
her.
what TV show did a lot of people see her on that never knew who she was? Sabrina Carpenter was in
Hmm.
the extension of Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World, as the Sean of Girl Meets World, essentially. So let's just remember that Sabrina
Hmm.
Carpenter, before y'all heard her sing, we're watching her on the Disney Channel on Girl Meets World, and to her credit, a bunch of different songs have done well for her. She has blown up in a massive way, and good for her. I mean,
I,
it's kind of like a
hmm
Bieber thing. It's kind of like you
In a
didn't
way,
know her, you knew her, and then all of a sudden here she is, like all over the place. So
see, so this is the reason why I don't think she would. I don't think she would do it. Um, or let me rephrase it. That I don't think the NFL would have her do it. I think she's too R-rated for the NFL. Because if you've ever seen any of the stuff from her shows or some of the songs that she sings
yeah,
or like her nonsense outros, they get very R-rated.
yeah.
She can get very sexual on stage. So I just don't. I feel
Wait a
like
minute.
that's one that the NFL
Wait a
might
minute.
try to
A
avoid.
Disney child actor that's female getting sexual after being at Disney?
For
What?
the record, I never
What?
actually watched Girl Meets World, but came across my TikTok plenty of times, so I knew exactly who she was. I never knew her name because the first time I ever saw the um like her performance like before in the Eras tour, I'm like, isn't that the chick from Girl Meets World? Isn't that the girl who played Maya? I'm like, what
Wait,
the
wait,
hell is her
wait,
name?
wait a
And then I
minute.
found it out.
Wait a minute. Disney sexualizes females, young female. Wait,
Shocker.
what? What? Watch the new Goosebumps on Disney Plus.
It's not so much that Disney did it. She does it herself.
No, hey, listen. Track record. Go back in time. Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan. I mean, go back in time and come to the now. There is a track. Miley Cyrus. There is a track record of
Demi Lovato.
they did some stuff on Disney, and look at them now. And Goosebumps right now. Goosebumps, kid show. Now, still for adults like me who read the books as a kid. Watch Goosebumps now on Disney Plus. These girls are supposed to be in high school. They're supposed to be like 14 years old. And the way that they make them look to appeal to whatever, I'm watching the show going like, y'all don't need to be dressing like this to tell a scary story. But they're, and I'm thinking back, I'm like, when I watched Goosebumps as a kid, did they do, no, the girls were wearing like shirts. They were wearing sweaters. They were wearing hoodies. Now it's like, I mean, I'm watching this now and I'm going, okay, this is like when you're as a kid and you don't know, and then you're like, how did Lindsay Lohan go through all this trouble? And hopefully she's okay. And then you go through Amanda Bynes and you're like, and Nickelodeon, and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope she's okay. And you see, I'm different than other people. People are like, oh my gosh, they're a train wreck. Blah. I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, I loved her movies. I hope she's okay. I hope she's doing all right. Oh, she went to rehab. Oh, he went to rehab. I hope they've made it through it okay. Like I saw an interview. Somebody asked, I'm not going to say who it was because I'm not going to give any credit. Or I'm not going to give any praise to the show. But Lindsay Lohan went on a show and this very well-known, whatever he wants, I guess he'll call himself, broadcast something, whatever he wants to call himself. But he talked to her about, and they ran it. And keep in mind, live shows at night are not live. Not all of them. Not all of them. But this one was not. I mean, these are live to tape. And they played this interview, and this well-known person is interviewing Lindsay Lohan and asking her about her rehab, how many times she's been there, what is she going for now, does she think it's working? I don't care. I mean, the audience was laughing, and she's kind of looking out in the audience like, oh, that's funny? Like, my life is funny to you? So I don't applaud that stuff. I also watched an interview about somebody asking Robert Downey Jr. I think he might have been there to promote a movie, and they were asking him about does he think he's over his drugs and his alcohol. Having been around people that I love dearly that have grappled with addiction and learning that asking them questions, even when your heart is in the right place of like, are you okay now? Or what's your next step? There's a delicate way of, put it to you like this. If you had an addiction in your life, alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever, if you had an addiction in your life and you had finally gotten to a place where you felt like you are not in that habit, you've gone so many weeks, so many months, so many years, and you've been really good about it, would you want somebody to get in your face and go like, what if I put alcohol in your face right now? What if I put a hot girl in your face right now? What if I put drugs in your face right now? What would you do with that right now? I mean, like, you have to think about, these people went through hell. A lot of these people danced with the devil. And they won. They're still alive, right? They're alive. They won. They're moving forward. And you're asking them about something that they couldn't stop thinking about 24 hours a day. And they finally stopped thinking about it. And then you're going, do you want to think about it? Do you want to think about it? I think you want to think about it. So to me, it's like, oh my goodness. And when you see some of these stories that came through Disney, that came through Nickelodeon, people that I grew up watching, people that were the same age, they're the same age as me. You know, like Lindsay Lohan and I aren't too far off in age. Amanda Bynes and I aren't too far off in age. Like, I grew up with, these girls were my peers. It was like, I'm 14, she's 15, or we're both 14. And so seeing them go through that and seeing the stuff that's happened, like to me, it's heartbreaking to watch that and to be a broadcaster and to be someone who thinks and believes and knows that every time I turn the mic on, there is a massive responsibility that I hold when I turn this mic on, whether there's one person listening or a million. I can't fathom talking to people the way that people have talked to people because they think it's going to make them famous. They think it's a shock jock moment. They think it's a moment where they're going to get a good deal or whatever they think it is, or they just like to hurt people. But I literally cringed last night after the title game watching YouTube interviews of people trying to bait people into agendas and to make them talk about like the darkest moments of their life. And all I would say to you, Murph, or to anybody out there is if you fought a demon and you went through something in your life, how would you respond if somebody put you on national television and demanded that you talk about that moment again?
Just absurd. That's that's just absurd. I don't get where people get off with that. Um, and you got to feel for anybody that's had to go through that.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it was people in this world are just awful sometimes. People are just awful human beings sometimes. Um, but to get back to where we were, obviously because we got off a little bit because the whole Disney Star thing.
Yeah.
I think Sabrina Carpenter would be interesting, but I don't think the NFL would do it because it would get too sexual, and I don't think it's good for kids. But I think somebody that I don't know. LA makes sense to do some sort of like a pop type. I don't know. I can't really think of who because I don't really listen to pop music anymore. But like I know there's plenty of people that people like. Um, I think Dallas would probably be the best place for them to do a um like a country style show. And
Yeah.
does Dallas have the Super Bowl anytime soon?
Well, if we look
Have
at
the big game?
if we go to future locations, so future locations, and obviously they plan out a certain amount of time. So the future locations that we have going on for this are going to be Super Bowl 60 is going to be in San Francisco. Super Bowl, or pardon me, big game, pardon me, big game. So this is they're going to have two in California back to back. So we have San Francisco, we have L.A. Then we have Mercedes-Benz
Atlanta.
Stadium, which I was just at multiple times, and I'll be at hopefully later on this year again, which is going to be in Atlanta. So we have Santa Clara, California. And then we have, yeah. So we have, I don't know why this one went that way. So the next three are going to be in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, and I'm just checking to see if there's any more that I can released this morning that have already been put out there.
I think it's just those three.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I think they only do a few at a time.
I mean, Atlanta would make sense for a country one too. I mean, it's in the South. A lot of country
Atlanta
artists
just
from
had
Georgia.
Kane Brown. Kane Brown did a pregame concert for the College Football National Championship.
He did.
So
He did.
I'm going to put this down. Okay, I'm going to put this down right now. I want y'all to see it because I trust, for whatever reason, this one came to mind when I was looking at the Billboard Top 40. So, for the next title game, I could be wrong, I could be right, but before it gets announced,
Yep. I could, yeah, I could,
put Bad Bunny
I could
in.
definitely see it. Like, I think that'd be a somewhat controversial one, but I could definitely see it.
So that is going right here.
I'm not exactly a Bad Bunny fan, but I wouldn't be opposed.
he got some good stuff, and he does some stuff. He does some stuff with Drake. Just so y'all know, we will take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I had to pause myself because I can't say that SB thing, so I've been saying big game. So then my brain went, "Can you say Wake Up Call?" It's like, yeah, bro, that's your show. So Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be back in just a moment with DT and Murphy from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And we will have more to talk about. We're going to see how Murph and I did on our prop bets for the big game right after this. Here's a message from Renee from Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean-to-cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. It's Monday, which means Murph is with me here on DT and Murphy inside Wake Up Call. It's time for Murph and I to take a look at our prop bets. Did want to make a quick note here, folks. The Philadelphia Eagles, just in case you forgot or you shut the game off at a certain point, they had the first 6 scores of the game going up 34-0 until 34, ironically, seconds left in the third quarter, where we saw the first score by the Chiefs, which was a touchdown from Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy had 2 touchdowns in the game for the rookie. DeAndre Hopkins also had a score in the game, and it ends 40-22 in favor of the Eagles. My prediction going into the game, 2 out of 3 things were right. I predicted Eagles win, and I predicted that the Chiefs had scored 22 points. I did not have the Eagles scoring 40. I had them scoring 26. But my score for the Chiefs and my game win and my team that won are correct. 26-22 is what I had with the Eagles getting the victory. Here's the prop bets. Will we see Thunderbolts preview? We did. We saw it early, so Murph and I were both right. Will we see a larger trailer for Superman? Unless I missed it, we did not. So
No.
Murph was right about that one. Pat Mahomes commercials. Would there be over 3 or under 3? Murph said under 3.
I don't think there were any.
I don't think there were any either. So, will the funniest commercial come from Andy Reid? We both said no. That was correct. A lot of aliens last night. A lot of different companies, but apparently they lean toward the alien thing. Maybe that's because of all the drones and the stuff that we've been seeing. How many Taylor Swift sightings? Over 10, under 10. There was like 1.
I think I only saw her once.
There was 1. She was wearing a tube top.
It was a great thing. It was, by the way.
She was wearing a white tube top with no Chiefs on. It was like, Travis, you better get up here and get your together. That's what I felt. I saw her holding on to that bar like, Travis, you better go to work. Mama going.
They showed her when they were down like 21-0 or 24-0, and she was just not in it at all.
Yeah, no. So, So, will we see Bon Jovi? I don't think we did. Murph was right about that.
I didn't notice that one.
Will we see Mike Trout?
I don't think we saw him.
We did not see Mike Trout. We both wrong on that. Will we see?
I'm willing to bet he was at the game, but I didn't see him.
Will we see famous Jameis in the game itself? We said under 2. That was correct. How many left-handed passes by Mahomes? I said 1. Murph said none. There was none. How many missed field goals?
Almost.
Right.
He did throw it like that.
Yeah. How many missed field goals? We said under 2. There was none. And then as far as the coin flip, it's always tails. I tried to be different.
Tails never fails, right?
Murph was right. It was tails. And then Avengers Doomsday, we didn't see anything. Murph was right. Will we see a Spider-Man anything trailer? We did not. Murph was right. Will Travis Kelce propose if they win? We
Well,
thought
that's an
but they didn't
NA.
win, so we didn't.
That's
get
a not applicable because they didn't win.
Yeah. Over under 4.5. That we have no idea what the commercials are. We
I
said,
would say it was over.
We said over. It was over by about 14. And then
one. Oh God, which one was that?
A lot of alien commercials.
Christ.
A dead alien commercial. There was a lot.
What was the It wasn't the Nike commercial. We could kind of figure out it was Nike.
Oh, the commercial about women in sports.
Yeah, like you can kind of guess that one was Nike.
I said it was Nike. Somebody was like, "No, it's just women." I was like, "No, it's Nike."
There was another one that I was like, there was at least half a dozen where I was sitting there.
There was the Harrison
Ford.
What the
hell was that?
There was the Harrison Ford 2-minute commercial about Jeep that like it just like it's still on. So I would have liked if Red Hulk was in that one. If he turned into Red Hulk during that would have been great. Let's see here. Will we see a Jesus reference commercial? We did. I was right about that. Will Jason Kelce come out of retirement for one day? We both said no, sadly. Does Jason wear a Travis jersey? We both said no, he did not. Will Jason Kelce be shirtless? We said yes, but that's a non-applicable because they never had the lead in the game. So those are our prop bets that Murph and I had. Murph was right on a few that I was wrong on, and the ones that we agreed on, we were pretty...
I think all of us, I think we all got, like all the ones that we agreed on, I think we all got right.
Yeah, we were pretty snake eyes on those babies. So, yeah, and I'm happy to say that I picked the Eagles to win, and I picked the Chiefs to score 22 points, which was a weird number.
I don't remember if I gave a score, but I did pick the Chiefs.
Yeah. I picked Eagles 26-22, so I got the score.
Honestly,
right for the Chiefs.
if I would have picked the score, it probably would have been like 27-24, 27-21 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those are our prop bets. That's where we stand with those. We're going to take one more quick step aside. We'll come back with Murph here on DT and Murphy Inside a Wake Up Call in the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Right after that's prop bets, baby. We saw Taylor Swift one time. And guess what?
Thank you, God.
Guess what? I got what I wanted. We saw Mrs. Mahomes and children, albeit before the game. We did get to see them because all I'm saying is if we're going to show girlfriends, we need to show wives. Hello? They're committed. They're in it to win it. So, I mean, I'm happy that we got to see Mrs. Mahomes, and the camera actually panned down when they kissed each other, gave them a little privacy. So I do appreciate the privacy, and I appreciate the fact that we saw more than just... All I'm saying is the Chiefs, they got 53 players on the active roster. Ain't nobody got a girlfriend or a wife besides Travis Kelce. So weird. That's so weird. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back after this. I mean, I guess they all got to get on Match.com. I don't know what's happening.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios here with DT and Murphy on the morning after the big game where the Eagles win 40-22 over the Chiefs. Murph, I got to hit you with this really quick because we got a second here. You're a Jets fan. Well, the Jets looking to be allegedly parting ways with Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. Maybe they're going to be a package deal somewhere else. I guess we will see. And it's officially 45 days until the first baseball game. Your thoughts on those two things?
Rodgers was not surprising. Realistically, their best chance of winning next year was probably Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, the cap hit they would have had to eat next year and the year after had they kept him pretty much made it impossible to hold on to him for this year. So they're going to probably end up eating the entire salary cap hit this year, but they can offset it almost entirely by cutting Davante Adams post June 1st.
Yeah.
So they would offset almost that entire, about probably 75% of that money by designating Davante Adams as a post June 1st cut. So I think that they'll cut him. If Rodgers keeps playing, he's going to go somewhere out west, and I think Davante would too. I could easily see Davante going to a team like the Chargers or going to a team like the Niners or the, something like that. Maybe in Seattle. I don't really see him going to Seattle though. I don't know who the hell's going to play quarterback for the Jets next year. It's kind of the last thing on my mind.
Give my man Travis an opportunity.
I hope so. I hope he gets a chance. I hope we draft. If we're going to draft somebody, I hope it's Kyle McCord. Otherwise, don't draft anybody this year and wait till next year. Because other than Kyle McCord, this quarterback class sucks. There's nobody I would take. I don't even know if I really want Kyle. I'll take Kyle McCord in the second round or the third round if he's there. But I'm not gonna go up and get him. I'm not gonna do anything like that. I don't like Jackson Dart. I don't like Jalen Milroe. I don't like Cam Ward. I really don't like Shadur Sanders. So I think ultimately we'll see what happens there. As far as baseball is concerned, I cannot be more excited. Pete Alonso is back as a Met.
What'd I say?
Thrilled about that.
What'd I say?
I never thought he was going to leave, but I was starting to get worried that it was going to drag on too long.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they finally came to an agreement and settled on something that works for both sides.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens there. I am just excited to see what Juan Soto in a Mets uniform can do. Yeah. That's such a cool looking card.
Wait for it.
I don't know where my 101 is. It's in my box somewhere. Nice.
Pete. The polar bear is here.
He's going to be the all-time home run leader in the history of the Mets franchise after next year, most likely.
Yeah.
Assuming he doesn't get hurt. I'm just excited to get to watch that team again, man. They were so fun to watch down the stretch and into October. I don't really get deep postseason runs on my sports teams
Yeah.
the way we got with the Mets. So I enjoyed it while it lasted. I wish it would have lasted about another 2 weeks.
Understood.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I know for a fact that this is just the beginning. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to win the World Series next year, because if I had to pick somebody to win the World Series, it would probably be the Dodgers to go back to back, and I think most people would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
But I'm ultimately excited to see what happens. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's go Mets, baby.
Yeah, and I want to tell people really quick here. We got Murph on the broadcast here. Why did I wear my Italian heritage on this United States flag? Because no matter who won yesterday between the Chiefs and the Eagles, the Italian Greater family won, because both defensive coordinators end in a vowel, Spagnuolo and Vic Fangio. Shout out to Vic Fangio, who started the season by telling the Eagles, it ain't your fault that y'all don't know how to play tough. But that changes today. Vic Fangio and the family, where the ring at, kiss it. Because Fangio and the group got that title, baby. Love it. And shout out to Jalen Hurts, 17 of 22, 221, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the leading rusher, 11 carries, 72 yards, 6.4 yards a carry, and a touchdown, 3 total touchdowns for the game for our MVP, who praises God, Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes both give glory to God, and I appreciate that more than anything else that happened on the field. Murph, appreciate you as always. We'll continue the show here for a few minutes without you. I won't say anything mean about the Jets, I promise.
You better not. But I gotta hop off here. I got a meeting about a possible sports card show venue that I'm not gonna tell you is about yet. But if it happens, it could be pretty intriguing. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right,
and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Take care.
See ya.
That comment from Murph one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Folks, Jalen Hurts, again, he gets named the MVP, and I'm totally fine with Jalen Hurts getting the MVP. I'm not going to sit here and rip a trophy away from somebody who went out there and did good things, by any stretch of the imagination. If it were me, then I would have given it to Cooper DeJean or the defensive line of the Eagles. I mean, honestly, I feel like if you gave it to one of the D linemen on the Eagles, I don't think you could pick just one. So I'd give it to the D line unit and have those guys come up there and accept that award. Or I would give it to Cooper DeJean, because to me, he was such an early part of this game, turning the tide in favor of the Eagles, the takeaway that he had and just the things that he did. And you could also, argue that, really, honestly, you could give it to the defense. You could just give it to the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. And you understand why they give it to Hurts, but to reflect on Stuart Flaherty, who was with me, Coach Stu, who was at my home last night watching this game with me, and obviously the upcoming Bryan and Stratton men's soccer head coach here in Syracuse, New York, for Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. So very excited for what that's going to be. But, he said there's an unhealthy obsession with the quarterback in America, in his opinion, and just discussing the fact of, no matter what anybody does, if the Eagles end up winning, they're going to give it to Jalen Hurts because they give it to quarterbacks. And as much as I respect Jalen Hurts, I would have given this one to the defense. I really would have. And I mean, Cooper DeJean is where I would have went if I went individual. So that's where I would have went. But for me, that would be the individual. Milton Williams, he had a couple sacks. Josh Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Zach Bond, he led the Eagles with 7 total tackles. And so, Zach Bond, when you look back at this and you look at the just overall play of the defense, and we look at the interception, Zach Bond had an interception, which Papa Joe, who will be on the show on Thursday, he spoke very highly of going into the game. Cooper DeJean, he had an interception in the game, and he returned that for a touchdown, 38 yards. So, I mean, you could have gone Bond, you could have gone DeJean. I would have gone DeJean over Bond because DeJean also was in special teams as a returner. So, if I had to pick an individual, it would be Cooper. If I didn't pick an individual, it would be the entire defense because I couldn't give it to Bond or Sweat or Milton Williams. I'd have to like give it to a grouping of them. So I think Philly's defense earned the MVP. I think if it was individual, it was Cooper DeJean. They gave it to Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to knock Jalen Hurts on any stretch of the imagination. I just want to show some love for the defense of Philadelphia because we forget about this. I mean, at least 2 title games that Tom Brady won, I would credit his defense more than I would credit his play necessarily. When we looked at one of the ones for the Patriots in that awful game where the Rams decided to not run Todd Gurley hardly at all. And then also in the Tampa Bay victory that he had, I mean, you talk about how many times he turned the ball over in that game and they still won. So yeah, I would lean on the side of saying that there's a couple defenses out there with the Patriots and the Bucs that should have won an MVP over Brady. And I think in this case, over Jalen Hurts, it should have been his defense or Cooper DeJean. But they almost never give MVPs to defensive players, which I don't understand. But it's definitely frustrating to me that they don't do that because I feel like they've earned it, and when you don't give them the MVPs, I feel like they get lost in history unless you saw the game. So I want to make sure I said something here on Wake Up Call today inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios so that history doesn't forget this Philadelphia defense. So Jerry said, who's worrying you this season, Jerry? So... oh, the Mets. He calls them the Mutts because he's a Phillies fan. It took me a second, Jer. And then he said, my friend was thrilled that they signed Alonzo. He didn't want to have to rename his dog. That's a committed fan. If Pete Alonso leaves my Mets, I got to change my dog's name. I love that. We'll take a final step aside here on Wake Up Call. That's cool. I mean, it's a true fan. I'll be back right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, football, and more, including Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Pokemon while supplies last at GG Cards and Breaks. They have a vast array of amazing things to bring home, and I suggest, folks, that you get yourself out to GG Cards and Breaks Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way. They are just a wonderful, amazing establishment. They remind me of what it was like to be a kid and go to a place where you feel welcome, you feel known by your first name, and they know what you like, they know what you go there for, they know what you appreciate. So GG Cards and Breaks to me is second to none when it comes to the quality of service and to the amount of care, concern, and appreciation for the actual hobby itself. So I give a lot of love and much respect to the people that put in those blood, sweat, and tears, and GG Cards and Breaks definitely does that. They're for all ages, and they're for people that have collected cards and for people that are just starting to do it today. So head out to GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off at Teal Ave. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I don't even understand how we've gone over 2 hours already. We're already done. Show's done for today. How's it done? I have so many more things that I want to say. Thank God that I get to do this for a living. Thank God I get to work for myself. Thank you, Lord, for that. I can't even state enough how much it means to me that I'm my own boss. So if I want to go past 11, I can go past 11. And if I want to do more things, I could do more things. Well, thank God we have plenty of shows coming up here this week so I can continue to have the conversation. Of course, we have the Binghamton Bearcats special coming up this Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We got an all-new softball special with Tracy Roman, the head coach of the Lemoyne College softball team, who just started their season on the road down in South Carolina within the last few days. So we have that special coming up this Wednesday during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Papa Joe's going to be joining me on Thursday. We have an Army football special following the season where they celebrated their most wins in a single season in program history for Army West Point and the Black Knights, that being 12 wins. So we will be discussing that and so much more, and an extensive conversation with Jeff Munkin, the head coach of Army West Point. A lot of great things are coming up on Wake Up Call. We also break down the creation of the ACC football schedule for 2025-26 with the man who did it, Michael Strickland, and that's going to be this Wednesday that special air. Annoying moment of the week, of course, from Carvel DeWitt. Will be on Friday. Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. Will also be on Friday as our second segment of Friday, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero, and we have the Top Dog of the Week announcement coming to you from Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding on Friday as well. The Ingredients to Success coming to you tomorrow, presented by Avicoli's. So much stuff coming up for you this week on Wake Up Call. And, of course, you could vote in our polls that we put up all throughout the year on X, the former Twitter, at CallDT. That's CALLDT. The two polls that we put up here this morning are as follows. With 3 Super Bowl rings and 5 trips to that big game in the last 7 seasons, despite the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, are the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes considered a dynasty to you? 64.7% said no, they're not a dynasty. 35.3% said yes, they're a dynasty despite the loss to Philadelphia. So make sure you vote in that this morning. That poll just went up a little while ago. And a poll that went up 50 seconds ago, who would you have given the MVP to in this title game? In this NFL title 59, who would you have given the MVP to? It went to Jalen Hurts. Would you give it to Jalen Hurts? Would you give it to Cooper DeJean? Or would you give it to the entire Philadelphia defense? You can vote in that poll that just went up about a minute ago. Those are both on X, the former Twitter. Follow us there at CallDT. That's CALLDT. And, of course, thanks for following us by watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, once the show goes live, it hops into the archive, and you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. I want to give a very big thank you to our wonderful partner down in North Carolina. Much love and appreciation goes to the Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right by Pinehurst Golf Courses, who you know from the PGA Tour. You can get to that Brooklyn Pickle less than 10 minutes from Pinehurst Golf Courses by going to 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. So make sure you make your way out there today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, or you could say DT sent me to this Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And many thanks to our incredible team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, our studio partner exclusively, and of course Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's, Servomation, reinventing, reinvigorating, and just giving us such an amazing approach to the world of vending. Folks, you would not think that vending could have this quality, this kitchen, these different opportunities, and just this expanded, when I went to a vending machine growing up, I didn't see variety. I didn't think that it was healthy. I didn't think that there were good options necessarily. Servomation changed my mind about everything about vending, and I'm proudly partnered with them. Figure out how they can be connected to your school, your university, your college, your business, your rest stop, your building itself, wherever you may be. Servomation.com can come to you. Find out more by going to SERVOMATION, servomation.com. Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Brian's Landing, where I had a fantastic brunch with my mom for an early Valentine's Day. They call it Galentine's Day, and they have a lot of women that went out to Brian's Landing yesterday. But I was like, hey, early Valentine for my mom, and the food looked too good to pass up. I got the cinnamon roll French toast that was like in a heart and just all these different flavors and everything. The drinks were great. The food was great. The experience was great. Shout out to Renee and the entire team, Jacqueline and everybody over at Brian's Landing, who did an incredible job for brunch and do an incredible job throughout the year. Many thanks to them all, including owner Brian Bruno, for their work over at Brian's Landing. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. Find the Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You will find the Dolphins student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, including President Dr. Linda Lemira, throughout the year here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find all of our content with the Dolphins by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist. You can also find the Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Student athletes, coaches, and administration joining me to tell their stories and the stories of their teams, as well as their personal journey throughout the year in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. You can find all of our wonderful specials with the Bobcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You can also find your Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Bearcats will be joining you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year telling the greater story of the Bearcat family as well as their personal journeys and all of the wonderful connections that we have made over time with their faith, with their families. Just so many beautiful stories we've gotten to tell with the Binghamton Bearcats in just a short amount of time. They are our youngest exclusive multimedia marketing partner in their first year currently, and very excited for everything that we get to do, as well as some news I may be able to tell you coming up here in the not too distant future. You can find the Bearcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Binghamton playlist. You can also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I want to thank Murph for joining me for another Murph Monday. DT and Murphy coming to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, and we appreciate them so very much. Murph and I graduating from Marywood University and being here together doing this broadcast means a lot to me to start off Wake Up Calls week. Shout out to Ma and Pa's giving us what's poppin', the list of topics for today. Obviously, today was the big game. Speaking on the NFL title for number 59, and of course the Eagles defeating the Chiefs 40-22. My prediction was Eagles. I got that right. My prediction for the Chiefs final score was 22. I got that right. I just didn't have the Eagles getting up to 40. I had them getting to 26 in a closer game. Facebook, you can find us at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as I showed you earlier, my prediction made in the moment live on the show, and it is now on a piece of paper folded and put in my studio, that with the game, with the NFL title game number 60 being held in San Francisco next season, I have predicted that Bad Bunny will be the halftime show. Now, he may be with somebody, but I have Bad Bunny as the halftime show prediction that I've already made here a day after we saw this halftime show. I've already made the prediction for next year's halftime show. So we'll see if I'm right. We'll see what happens as we step forward here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I thank you for being here with me on Wake Up Call and for having some fun with us as we always do, where sports meets life inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Once again, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Shout out to the Wildcat Sports Pub, proud partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for over 8 years now. And we are celebrating the Christmas and holiday season after Christmas and the holidays. So the gift that keeps on giving. And we will have a wonderful opportunity to be with each other today and enjoy some food and conversation and laughter. So looking forward to that. Shout out to Danny Tome and his incredible team at the Wildcat Sports Pub. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I bid you adieu on the morning after the big game. Have a beautiful day, and remember, an Italian defensive coordinator gets to bring home the title. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. We love it. So with that being said, have a wonderful, wonderful day for the family. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best here on Wake Up Call. I hope you have a wonderful, safe, happy, and healthy day. And please, as always, be good to yourself and be good to each other.